Thornton Pickard. That's a name to conjure with. Thornton Pickard, at the beginning of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, made some extremely high quality cameras. And they were particularly famous for their shutter, a Thornton Pickard shutter. People quite often think they've got a Thornton Pickard camera where it's a camera of another manufacturer, but it has a Thornton Pickard shutter on. So Thornton Pickard, quality camera manufacturer, but by the time they got to the 1930s, they were having some financial issues and they were trying different products. And they came up with this. And it's called, it claims, well, not claims, it states very much British made, and it's a stereo puck. And this was a camera, a stereo camera that took 120 films. I've had one which was in a very battered condition, and then at a camera club meeting of the Photographic Collectors Club of Great Britain, we had a Thornton meeting, and I was able to purchase this. And let's start with putting a film in. So take off the clip at the back, and if we bring this up here, we can then withdraw. Oh, we don't have to withdraw anything, because basically there's the empty spool. We put the spool here, bring that down there, new film in there, place it in there and across there. And what you see here is really interesting because it's 6 by 4.5. Now this has gone on to be quite a popular format. I've got a Bronica ETRS, and some people believe this is one of the first cameras which actually used 6 by 4.5. It's quite possible that a lot of others did as well, so I don't want to get into discussion there. But so you get, obviously it's a stereo camera, so we have 2 lenses which are going to produce 2 photographs. On the later cameras, there was you had a choice of 3 apertures. You haven't here. There is a little lever here which is the bulb lever. So shutter, if I bring that open, yeah, you can see that that is on bulb and close, where if I put the lever back in, it's got a tripod socket, which is really useful because I suspect the shutter speed is something like 1/30th or 1/50th, but it's quite easy to use because obviously you hold it to your wrist like this. So it's a very easy camera to use. It's got a handle at the top here. The viewfinder is here. It's typical of the sort of box reflex type of viewfinder, and as I said, this is in very nice condition. Unfortunately, the camera, the Thornton Pickard, went out of production at the end of the 30s, and this is quite different from the other cameras you would associate with the company. But I think they were desperate to get some market share, and I don't think there was a similar camera on the market. I think they were hoping the name would sell the camera, and I think it did. I wasn't expecting too much, to be honest, of this camera, and I wasn't sure how I was going to view the images, because originally this camera would have come with a viewer, a stereo viewer. However, this one didn't, but great help. The great thing about the Photographic Collectors Club, there's always someone who knows or can help you out, and a fellow member very much did help me out by providing, this is not a Thornton Pickard, but is, I want to say, it's a camera scope, and camera scope was another system, but I think camera scope were very much cigarette carts, because the stereo view was very popular with cigarette carts, and you could collect cigarette cards which were stereo views. So in here I am going to put my stereo views when I get them. Actually, I've got them. So I took a film, and what happened? Normally I break here, but actually I've got the results here, and I was quite amazed with how in focus the camera shake didn't seem to be an issue. I took some of the Swannies steam train, I took some of the Swannies town hall. The exposure's a bit better on this version, and then you basically cut them out like that. Unfortunately, this is not in stereo vision, but you then put the images in there, line them up, and hopefully you will get a 3D effect. Now, this is where I came a bit unstuck. I found I couldn't actually, some eyes, sometimes I can see stereo images well, sometimes I can't. I think for me the gap is too big there, and I couldn't actually see the stereo view. But the great thing was the camera worked. In theory it works, and it's nice to do photographic technique which I hadn't done before. I must say I'm always a bit intrigued by stereo photography. There are other systems out there, but if you want a really cheap way into it, and you are lucky enough to find Thornton Pickard puck, then why not have a go? Thanks for watching. Bye for now.